everyone, happy Monday, and if you go to Eldon Elementary School, happy Pajama Day! We are at Eldon, we are doing a virtual spirit week, and it starts today, and today is Pajama Day. So we didn't even have to change, we just get to do online work in our pajamas all day long, which is a lot of fun. But I am back to read chapter 4. We are doing chapter 4. So I'm going to read chapter 4 in Ungifted. And if you haven't watched my video for chapter 2 and 3, go watch it. I don't know which side it's on, but go watch it. And if you want a quick refresher, our character Donovan made a really big mistake and he got in trouble with the superintendent. But he is home and he just got a letter saying that he got recommended by the school district, actually by the superintendent, for a gifted program. And this gifted program is for students that do really well in school and they're getting good grades and they're being really respectful students. And Donovan's really confused. His dad's really happy, but Donovan's really confused. So I asked you to make a prediction. Do you think the superintendent made a mistake, or do you think he sent Donovan to this gifted program on purpose? So I want you to keep on thinking about your prediction, and let's see if your prediction came true in this chapter. We started with Donovan thinking about how could this happen. It came to me in a giddy flashback to the day of the incident. Right after Schultz let me go, his secretary asked for the roster of new kids for the academy. The superintendent's response was the last thing I remember before bouncing out of there. His exact words, "It's on my desk, Cynthia. You can't miss it." Had that big doofus scribbled my name on the gifted list by accident, and everybody else thought it was there because it was supposed to be? It seemed crazy, but it did explain the two inexplicable things going on in my life right now. 1, why Schultz hadn't come to kill me yet, and 2, why I'd just been invited to go to a genius school. I laughed out loud. People thought I acted without thinking. This was 1,000 times worse than hitting a statue with a twig. It was a shoo-in for the Bonehead Moves Hall of Fame. "What's so funny?" Dad asked. I almost spilled the beans. "How many chances do you get to show that the guy who runs the entire city school system is an even bigger dipstick than you are? Besides, it's not like my parents weren't going to find out eventually. Sooner or later, Schultz would realize his mistake, or would he? The only district officials who saw me that day were Schultz and his secretary, and neither of them had ever met me before. They worked in the administration building, not Hardcastle Middle School. The paper my name was written on was surely gone now, crumpled up in a wastebasket or fed through a paper shredder. The one thing the superintendent knew about me was the school I went to. That was the only way he could get to me. The gifted letter tingled in my hands. If I was at the academy, he wouldn't be able to find me. It was the realm of brainiacs and goody-goodies, the last place you'd look for a kid who put a bronze globe through a glass door. A tiny voice spoke up from the depths of my spleen. "Forget it, not in a million years. You won't last 10 minutes in a gifted program. There's never been anybody more ungifted than you." Mom was flushed with happiness. "I always knew this day would come. It was only a matter of time before people realized how special you are." She sniffed back a tear of emotion. "Beatrice was our good luck charm. Things are finally starting to turn around for this family. I can feel it." "I feel it too," added Dad, putting his arm around her. "Wait a minute. Beatrice?" His eyes strayed to the hall where the chow chow was chewing on his paper. reducing it to an inky pulp. Up until that instant, I honestly don't think I was going to go through with it. But since Brad had shipped out and Katie had moved back in, the tension in our house had been simmering just below the boiling point. And now this extra stress with the stupid dog. How could I pile my own problems on top of that? Especially when Mom and Dad looked so proud, something that didn't happen every day where I was concerned. I thought of my namesake, James Donovan, on the foundering Titanic. What would he do? Sink or swim? Gifted, I said a little louder, as if trying it on for size. I guess I'd better go to school and clean up my locker. So I wonder if Donovan's actually going to go. Oh, I don't know how I feel about that. Well, now we're up to chapter 4 because we just finished chapter 3. And this is Unarmed, and it's called Chloe Garfinkel, IQ 159. So I think we're going to find out who Chloe is. And remember, whoever is titled in the chapter, we think that they're going to be talking. That's going to be the narrator. So maybe Chloe's going to be the one telling the story here. We'll see. Hypothesis. Being gifted is not a gift you get for nothing. This you have to pay for. Okay, I know it's not a real hypothesis by that. I mean, something you can design an experiment to test. But it's true. There's a price to be gifted. The cost is your life. You don't die or anything like that, but you don't live either. Free time? Forget it. You go to a special academy that gives you extra work to suck up every spare minute, especially since it probably takes forever to get there. Schools for the gifted are far and few in between. Chances are you don't live near one. Friends? Those are the people you slave alongside of. They might be awesome, but how would you ever find out? You're too busy for them, and they're too busy for you. Sports? When? And besides, why play when you probably stink? Hypothesis. Athletic ability exists in inverse proportion to intelligence. Technically untrue. There are plenty of smart athletes, but not many compared with the number of brilliant sofa spuds. What about TV or video games? Oh, please, you're far too smart for that. Pep rallies? For what? The robotics team? Forget it. And the same goes for school dances, funny hat day, drama club, charity drives. Dances? Repeated Abigail Lee when I brought up the subject in homeroom. Who do you want to dance with? Him? She pointed at skinny needle-nosed Noah. She had a point. Most of the guys at the Academy for Scholastic Distinction weren't exactly what you call Hollywood hunks. I didn't expect bodybuilders, but it would be nice if they could grow a set of shoulders between the lot of them. And it wouldn't hurt to spend a little time outdoors to put some color in those prison pale faces. Hypothesis. Sun lamp enhanced. Computer monitors, perhaps? So I'm going to pause right there. This is definitely Chloe Garfinkel, I think her last name is. Yeah, Garfinkel. Chloe Garfinkel talking. So we're going to find out who she is. Then again, being smart requires you to examine things from all sides. Why pick on the guys? We girls aren't exactly homecoming queens either. Abigail was a genius chemist, but her greatest fashion statement was her white lab coat. She looked like she hadn't combed her hair since 2007. Or me, for that matter. I'd scored a perfect 2,400 on every SAT practice test in 6th grade. But who was I to talk? Here I was, almost 14, and I'd never danced with a guy who wasn't related to me. I'd never even been to a party except for kiddie things with balloons. I wasn't going on the cover of 17 anytime soon, that's for sure. Okay, so it doesn't have to be a dance, I told Abigail, but why can't it be something? Every day, millions of kids around this country do millions of normal activities, and they have a great time. Why can't we? The statewide robotics meet is coming up, she offered. Sigh. I took robotics. I was good at it. I was good at all of it. I totally belonged at this school. But why did it have to mean that I wouldn't be a regular person too? Mr. Osborne, our homeroom teacher, who was also head of robotics program, breezed into the lab. Let's hurry up and take attendance. We've got a lot of work to do today. We were all there. Where else would we be? We were any teacher's dream. Yet at that moment, it made me sad. I had no desire to cut class. Maybe that was the problem. When was the last time one of us broke the rules? This morning, while checking on my experiment and the growth of the hydroponic flax, I'd noticed the paper I taped to my desk lamp to concentrate the beam onto the seedlings. It was a certificate of merit I received for perfect attendance at school. I'd earned 7 of these over the years, and what use were they to me? Makeshift lampshades. I lost my spot. Hypothesis. Is there a point where the robotics student becomes the robot? When was the last time anybody even showed up late? Sorry, I'm late. A tall, sandy-haired boy appeared at the door. Is this Mr. Osborne's class? This is the robotics lab, the teacher replied. And you are? Donovan Curtis, the newcomer replied, waving a printed form. I'm supposed to be in this homeroom? Right, our fresh blood from Hardcastle Middle. Oz accepted the paper and examined it. Abigail leaned over to me. That can't be right. He's coming to this school? I was intrigued. You know him? We went to the same elementary. He's the kid who jumped off the roof with one of those Gymboree parachutes. I sized him up. He was kind of cute in a careless, windblown way. Great eyes, black fringe, pale blue. Well, he must be smart if he passed all the tests to get in here. Abigail was unconvinced. Maybe, but he would have to change a lot since I knew him. I bit my tongue. Okay, so Abigail thought he was dumb, but next to her, everybody was dumb. I was probably pretty dense compared with her. If Donovan Curtis didn't measure up to Lee standards, that hardly made him stupid. There were no dim bulbs at our school, but that's not to say that we didn't range from somewhat bright to super bright. And in a few cases, like Abigail and Noah, supernova. She was telling me about Donovan getting his tongue frozen to a chain-link fence one summer. But by that time, I'd stopped listening. I'd never met this new kid, but I already had him sized up perfectly in mind. Donovan Curtis was normal. Normal. We had a lot of talents in our homeroom. Normalcy wasn't one of them. Noah's IQ was off the charts, but he'd yet to hold a conversation with a real human being this year. Most of the time, he didn't even make eye contact. He always seemed to be speaking to the empty space over your left shoulder. Or J.C. Halloran, who had already discovered an uncharted galaxy, but still couldn't figure out how to open a combination lock. Or Lateral Michelson, our mechanical marvel, who took cars apart and put them back together blindfolded for fun. He couldn't manage to wrap his mind around the fact that he had to wait in food a line to buy his lunch. Every single day was World War III in the cafeteria. We had kids who had academic records and published books and won every conceivable prize and honors. We had kids who could quote you the exact line of dialogue that's spoken 94 minutes and 30 seconds into The Matrix or Return of the Jedi. What was missing was somebody, anybody, normal. I am the great, powerful Oz, Mr. Osborne told the newcomer in a mystical tone. He said that to everybody the first time he met them. Technically, this is homeroom 107, but you've probably noticed that it looks like a cross between a mad scientist lair and a garbage dump. We do robotics here. Even if you're not taking robotics this semester, I hope you'll help out with the team. It's a pretty big deal here at the academy. He turned to the rest of us. Guys, meet Donovan, the guys. There was a very lukewarm chorus of greeting. Another thing about the academy, being gifted rarely extended to social skills. My enthusiastic hi stood out embarrassingly over the murmurs. Donovan ignored us. Instead, he faced our latest robot, a work in progress for this year's competition. What's his name? We were all stunned. Noah spoke up. It's not a he, it's an it. It's a mechanical device, and as such, has no name. Donovan blinked. Robots have names. Haven't you ever seen Star Wars? Was he kidding? Half of us could recite Star Wars. We have been doing this for a long time, Abigail informed in a superior tone. We have made the finals 3 years in a row, and we did it with science, not by calling our entry Harry or Fred. A few others spoke up in agreement. To be honest, I was on their side. The robot wasn't a toy or a pet. It was a machine. I kept my mouth shut, though. Poor Donovan had only been in our class about 30 seconds, and we were already jumping all over him. It didn't seem to bother the newcomer. Okay, no name. He turned back to the robot. Sorry, Tin Man. Oz in the brain, I guess. He grabbed hold of one of the forks of the lifting assembly and gave it a hearty shake. With a snap, it came off in his hand. There was nothing lukewarm about the class's reaction to that. A babble of outrage filled the lab. Abigail, our team captain, was on her feet barking. Oh, you broke it! Donovan tried to press the broken fork back into the chain drive. It clattered to the floor. All right, quiet, everybody. Oz held up his arm for order. Donovan didn't break anything. The component hadn't been attached properly. He turned to the newest student. But it's not a bad lesson for your first day in the lab. I won't mess with any more of your stuff, Donovan promised. The robotics teacher shook his head. I want you to mess with the stuff. This is a place of tinkering, fiddling, experimentation. But, he added pointedly, before you touch, ask someone. Especially before you touch Tin Man, Lateral added feelingly. He's a delicate piece of equipment, Abigail pointed out, and he's not Tin Man. I was fascinated. Now everybody was referring to this array of nuts and bolts and circuits as a he. Was it possible that in not naming the robot, Donovan had just named our robot? Hypothesis. A name changes an it to a he. Kevin Amari raised his hand. Even though he's not Tin Man, is it okay if we call him Tin Man for short? The robot is so impersonal. Maybe because he's not a person? By this time, Abigail was gritting through clenched teeth. He's not actually made of tin, Noah mused thoughtfully, but I guess Aluminum Man isn't appropriate either, since he's also made of titanium, steel, plastic, various polymers, and silicone computer chips. How about Metallica? Suggested Lateral. That's good too, Donovan approved. Anything but robot. Poor guy. SquarePants, Kevin offered. You know, because he's so boxy. Oh, perfect, Abigail snarled. Now all of our hard work is named after a cartoon. Let's live with it for a while, Oz put in hurriedly. We don't have to decide right away. Amazing. In a few minutes, we had gone from no name to 3, and all because Donovan Curtis had just walked into our school. I kept an eye on him through homeroom. Except for the mishap with Tin Man or whatever the name was going to be, I saw no sign of buffoon Abigail had described. If anything, Donovan was trying to be friendly. Not that he was getting very far with our crew. Engaging Noah in conversations isn't the easiest thing to do under the best circumstances, but Donovan was asking him for advice and on what to expect in some of his classes. Well, Noah replied thoughtfully, math is easy, and the only thing easier than chemistry is biology, or maybe physics. Social studies, easy. And English, well, you get the picture. Poor Donovan just stared at him. He probably spent his entire life hearing stories about the Academy's killer courses and crushing workload. And here Noah had dismissed them all in the space of about 8 seconds. Hypothesis. If you want a realistic assessment of a challenge, don't ask the guy with a 200 IQ. If Donovan had any inquiries about unraveling the genetic code, Noah would have said that. It is easy too. Thanks, I guess, Donovan told him. Is anything in this place, well, hard? You know what's hard? Suddenly Noah's face flushed with emotion. Trying to control your own destiny. It's not just hard, it's impossible. So Donovan shifted gears and talked to Lateral about the robot, which also backfired. Lateral got weirdly defensive, as if Donovan might be trying to steal his job at the team's top mechanic. And JC became so genuinely flustered by the newcomer's presence that she asked him which of the Earth's continental place was his favorite. Abigail went over to Donovan and put her 2 cents in. You know, a jamboree parachute isn't the same as a real parachute, don't you? Well, how could I not say something? He was going to think we were all nuts. I caught up with him in the hall on the way to the first period. Hi, I'm Chloe Garfinkel from homeroom. I'm going to stop right there. Before I continue, well, I'll continue reading tomorrow, but before you hear what happens tomorrow, I want you to make another prediction. Do you think Donovan and Chloe are gonna be friends? Or do you think they're going to have relationships how like Donovan has with the others? He doesn't really have great positive friendships yet. So do you think Chloe and Donovan are going to be friends? And if you think so, why? Why would they be friends? Why are they going to be friends if you think? All right, you can comment your predictions down below, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone. Have a great Monday.